There's been a lot of controversy about this game. Not controversy so much as negative reviews, and I just kind of don't get it because from where I'm sitting, about 12 hours in or whatever, No Rest for the Wicked is one of my favorite games of the past, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. I have enjoyed this game so freaking much. It is, I just love this game. And I just find that I feel like it is extremely underrated. And, it's crazy to me. And so, No Rest for the Wicked, if you don't know what it is, it's a game by Moon Studios. Moon Studios made the Ori games, and now they've come out and made this basically like Dark Souls meets Diablo type thing that works incredibly well. I absolutely love this game. Like if it was a 1.0, it would be my game of the year. I just love this game. I like it more than Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm enjoying it more than Rebirth, as good as Rebirth was. I really, really love this game. And you see here that visually there is just nothing that can match this thing. This is just an incredible experience, this game. It has this cartoony sort of style, which is very much like, God, I've never seen anything like it before. You can see that Ori type stuff happening in it. But then at the same time, it's full of grit. You know, that like city, grimy, Dark Soulsy type grit here. And a lot of the complaints that I'm seeing from people are really related to some really strange things that it's hard to really put my wrap my mind around. So let's talk about this game and what, like, I was originally drawn to this game because I saw the trailer at the Game Awards and I was like, wow, this feels like a Dark Souls game. And I'm a From Software guy. I love From Software. We're gonna see some combat here. And he blocked it there, see? I'm way overpowered for this area, but you can see how it goes. Pick up a healing item there, which is crab chowder. That's how you heal yourself. And really, I was drawn to this game because the Dark Souls style combat, and it just, like, I felt like it would be weighty and significant, and it has not let me down at all in those regards. Has not let me down at all. The exploration and the combat mechanics are really the key to all of this, okay? They really are the key to all of this. And I can't stress enough how much this really, really feels. It gives you that same sense as a Dark Souls game would give you, if that makes sense. You have tons of exploration and little things around hidden corners and all that types of stuff. Enemies coming out of nowhere and surprising you and like being like, holy crap, I can't handle these enemies right now. And then there's this other piece of it, which is really fascinating, which is that the world actually changes as you go through. Like, I just walked out of the main town, Sacrament, which you get to after you beat the first boss, and the world is a little different than before. The loot actually repopulates, and then little pieces of it are different. You get higher level enemies as you go through it, and you run into areas that were blocked off that weren't blocked off before. You run into areas that are just like slightly different, and we're gonna get into some combat here. I got parried. Now, one of the big problems that people have had with this game is the performance, and this is not a good representation. So you can see I've got the Steam frame rate up there, and you see I was having trouble with the combat. I'm gonna heal up now, and you see here I can heal up using these food items. Just eat some food and I have to cook it. It's kind of like a Bloodborne situation with the food. It's consumables, So you can see that FPS number is extremely low in the upper left, and it shines through. That's not what I'm seeing across the board, though. So I'm testing a new setup here where I'm using like a webcam utility for my Canon, and it's eating up all the CPU usage, and that is driving the FPS way, way, way down. I clearly have to figure out another way to do this. But if that wasn't the case, like when I'm normally playing on this computer has a 4090 and an i7 14th gen in it, so this is a high-end gaming computer. And normally this thing is doing pretty much 80 to 90 FPS all the time, and I don't have a lot of problems. I also have a laptop with a 4070 in it. I have no problems with that either, running at like a 2400 resolution or whatever it is. And you see when you hit enemies, they'll drop these things, and then you're good. One of the frustrations I have with the game, it's not a deal breaker, this is still like my game of the year, but inventory management sucks. So you can see that like I can't pick up this apple even though I would like it, and then I've got to go into my inventory and be like, okay, like which of these things can I get rid of? And you can see that some of these things are blackened out over here, like here, 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 here. I'm playing with the controller in these games, by the way. So those unlock as you beat bosses, basically. Like you have to go back to the Rookery Tower and unlock them. And so that's how that works. But as it is right now, it's frustrating because inventory management sucks. Because I'm always picking up these things, and then there's a stash, like Diablo style, but my stash is full. So there's definitely something that could be improved upon there, for sure. But the exploration is just so good in this game. There's like, look at this, like how Dark Souls does this feel, like you go down and there's like, oh, there's a little thing hiding there. Oh, it's loot. So that's one of the currencies that you get in the game. And now that I pick up that currency, I can use that to upgrade weapons and whatever else in the town of Sacrament. And as we move through, you see enemies repopulate. So these are earlier areas of the game that I am just going to again. And you can choose to play this game how you want. So I play it very Bloodborne style with this greatsword because that's how I am enjoying doing it. You see, look at the damage I'm doing to this guy with this fire greatsword. But I'm not playing with a shield, but I could play with a shield. You get to choose your build, right? So you can have a secondary weapon here with a shield, and then you can have another. So like you could have a sword and a staff, for example, like similar to like Dragon's Dogma 2, or you could just roll with a sword and a shield. I'm just choosing to play with this level of combat. I've got a sword sitting there. But you can see, you're wondering why my greatsword is on fire here, because I have just like spec'd the crap out of it. So you can upgrade weapons like you would normally upgrade weapons, but then you can also infuse it with these gems. Like I have gems attached to it. One that is dealing 5% extra heat damage. That's what's giving it the on fire look here. One that's decreasing the item's weight by 28% because equip load is a bit of a pain in the ass in this. Like it's an actual stat that you upgrade. You can see these are the stats here that you upgrade when you level up. Every time you level up, you get 3 attribute points, and you can level these up, but equip load is one of them, and so you got to figure it out. Clearly, I'm going for a strength build here. The Claymore scales off of strength, so that's what I'm going for. And but yeah, that's sort of how it works. You have these infused, and then it's in a really, really good spot. Controls wise, I think it's fine. It's the same button for dodging, like this, which is a different dodge based on your weight. I'm normal weight, so I'm rolling. It's the same one for like jumping, which is just running towards something and jumping. So it's more like Dark Souls in that way, sort of, but not even, because you have to climb. Got a little archer guy there to take out. Let's see if I have enough inventory space for this, because inventory things, I don't. Inventory things can stack, right? And so this piece of armor here, I've already been offered like a billion times, Okay, so I've done that. But the combat and these weapons and the way that it just feels so weighty and hefty. It feels just like Dark Souls to me. In fact, a little bit heavier even in some ways because of the sound effects. Like, listen to this. Oh, it feels so hefty. I've got a little bit of vibration in my controller because I only play shooters with a keyboard and mouse. And it just feels so good, man, getting that kill in. And it's interesting, the range of your melee weapons and the melee weapons of the enemies is really, really high. So you really got to figure out how to deal with that. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But it's also kind of fun. It's unique. It's interesting. So there was originally a group in here that I had to take out. When it comes to the storyline, this is really intriguing. I'm loving it so far. So essentially, there's this plague that is taking over the countryside, taking over everybody, and it's turning normal people into monsters. And then there is the king of wherever, whatever the name of this country is. The king has died, and the son is now in control, and he's like a whippersnapper who's going to try to stir up some stuff, and that's the sort of beginning of the story here. And just look at this art style. It's like this cartoony yet realistic, dark but light but heavy, and you can see there's a bit of stealth here. Oh, I'm not going to get to do stealth. Yeah, I'm just way overpowered for this area, even with those enemies. And see, all of this loot is loot that I got before that repopulates. And it's not the same loot every time in these places. And then you hit these whispers, which are basically like bonfires, but they do not heal your health. They only work as fast travel points, and you can't always use them. So the way the fast travel system in here works is that, and I actually show this on screen, the way that the fast travel system here works, these whispers that you hit, like bonfires, but you can only travel back to Sacrament from the whispers. So you'll see if I go up to one, I can fast travel to Sacrament, and that's it, right? And then when I'm in Sacrament, I can only channel back to the last, most recent Serum Whisper that I came across, if that makes sense. And that means you can't just zip around the map as you choose. You have to be careful about what your last activated whisper is, because your last activated whisper is the only one you're going to be able to go back to. So since I'm actually later in the game now, this is an earlier area. Now that I've visited with this whisper, this is the only place I can fast travel back to. I'm going to have to walk back to the later area in the game that I came to. Here's some mushrooms here to pick up. I can't tell you enough how much I love this gritty, but cartoony at the same time art style. It just feels good. It feels very, very good. It's fun, and it has this sense of like whimsicalness to it that you don't always see. It's unique. I've never seen anything like this before. But at the same time, it does feel gritty. It feels very, very gritty. It's very, very interesting. And the thing is, a lot of people here, the big problems are, one is PC performance. Again, you can't look at my 29 frames per second here on a 4090. I know it's because the CPU is getting eaten alive by something else I'm running on my computer. I'm working on fixing that. But on my 4090, I have no problems getting about 75 to 80 frames per second. On my laptop 4070, I get about, similar, honestly. But that's because here I'm pushing a 49-inch monitor. But I'd definitely be hitting well over 100 frames per second if I was running it here at like 1080 all the time, like easily. This is a very high-end machine, but even on the 4070, it runs quite well for me. I really haven't had a lot of performance improvements or performance drawbacks. Once you get to the cities, sometimes it does slow down a bit, but I'm still not seeing much of an issue. The other thing that people are really ticked off about is weapon durability. So you'll see this stat here. If you go into your inventory, you go over, you're going to see this stat here. It says down in there's a brick, there's a thing, and you can't see it because my face is in the way. 95 out of 100. So every time you die, that goes down. It was actually recently changed because there's been 2 hot fixes that have come out, and it's been recently changed so that there's just not as many issues with that. Like you don't have to do it all the time, because when you have to pay to actually repair all of your crap just because you died, it's expensive. It's less expensive now after the hot fixes, but it can get really expensive. So people hate the weapon durability. A lot of people hate the health system. So you're looking at the health system right here. So here in the health system is where I cook these crab chowder. I've got these fish skewers that I've cooked. And I do, and you can see I've got 20 of these mushrooms and meat curries. That's why it's similar to a Bloodborne system, like where you have all those blood vials. It's similar here. You've got all of these there. And so it's really not that bad. I mean, look how many I have. It was a little bit annoying at first because you always have to get these herbs, and you never seem to have enough of these herbs. But I just bought a crap load of them from a merchant at one point, and I stocked up on food, and I haven't had an issue. I'm finding myself, and this is different from a Souls-like game. I'm finding myself not wanting to really trying hard not to die a lot because of the durability system. And some people think that that's bad because it's like, oh, the enemies are tough. You have to learn the attack patterns, and that's extremely important for actually getting good at the game, etc. I agree, but at the same time, it just makes it a little bit different, you know? I mean, it's really not that big a deal. It just makes it a little bit different. It was bad, I agree, before I was dealing before the hot fixes came out, because we were talking about like I would have often have like 100 coins, and it would cost like 85 coins to repair my equipment, and that's just demoralizing because it takes you all this time to get them, you know. But yeah, I really don't mind it now since they have like changed it in a hot fix. And that is just awesome. And as you can see here, the combat is super fun. Another criticism I've seen a lot of problems with is that the enemy attacks are not telegraphed enough. But I really feel like they're extremely telegraphed. Honestly, I'm extremely happy with the level at which they telegraph attacks in this. I mean, that was the one thing that like, that's what made the first boss so like hard but fair, you know, in that classic Dark Souls thing, because it just really felt like I felt like I could do it. Like I always knew I could do it. It probably took me 12 to 15 tries to beat him, but I was like, listen, I know when he's gonna attack, because it's so easy to see his different moveset and everything. So let's just do it. Now listen, I'm only 12 hours in. The game is definitely difficult, so you know, things are gonna get harder for sure. And you know, we'll see how that goes. This is a good example of an area that's actually part of a main campaign quest earlier, but is completely changed now. It's completely different at this point, and is now this area with this guy sitting in it, which is cool. It kind of gives you a good reason to go back to other areas. And I like that. It's really fun. Like, this feels a little bit fresh to me, right? It almost makes it sort of endlessly replayable in some ways. I wouldn't quite go there with it yet, and I don't think it needs to be honest with you. I'm just way overpowered for this area. You're gonna see chests like this all over the world. So many chests. Not to mention that there's a mining system as well. I don't need a mushroom and meat curry recipe, and this is an old armor. But you know, you're gonna see this stuff all over the place. These sort of chests, and you know, these campfires. This is where you cook. You know, you can see I can cook some of these things. We'll cook the maximum, cook some food, and there you go. But the weapon durability, I think, is now at a decent place. Nobody likes weapon durability, but I think it's now at like a place where I feel okay with it. Like I feel decently okay with the space that it's at now. Performance, I haven't had an issue, you know, and I feel pretty good about performance. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. This is an early access game, by the way. The only other criticism that to me is valid is this inventory system, you know, and I just don't... I feel like I'm going to figure it out because I'm going to unlock things, and then it's not going to be such an issue. So, you know, overall, this is my freaking game of the year, man, so far. I love this game. I feel like I can just live here and get so completely engrossed in it. Like, top to bottom, so much fun. There's so much to do, so much to explore, loot to find, like any ARPG, loot to equip, loot to upgrade. Sacrament is this cool place. The art design is amazing. I love the combat. Some people complained about what the combat is like in crowds, but it's no different than Dark Souls. You gotta back up and take on one enemy at a time. You know, I mean, if you're more overpowered than your enemies largely, you might be able to get in, you know, doing these slicing moves, because you see the combo here creates something like that that would be a little bit crowd clearing. But in general, you just have to play it safer. You have to isolate enemies one by one. So that's not a huge problem for me. So this is why I just don't really understand why exactly it is that everybody is calling this game like a bit of a disappointment or mediocre or subpar or whatever it might be. Because this, for me, game of the year so far. And like I am obsessed with this game. I absolutely love it, and I hope it starts getting its due so that we can see other developers learning from it, and honestly seeing these guys make more games like this. Thanks for being here. This still a new channel here, Mr. Chevy Games. Like and subscribe. That would mean so much to me, and I'll see you in the next video.